What's up, y'all? I'm back. Got another video for you. A couple top tens. I know I said I wasn't going to do no more top tens, but I figured I'd go ahead and do these last two that I had on my paper. I want to give a shout out to R Truth, whose sister passed away today from cancer. R Truth, keep your head up, boy. Alright, we got a couple top tens. The first top tens are my top 10 fantasy matches. So let's get into them first. Number 10, top 10 fantasy match. American Dream Dusty Rhodes versus Sheamus. I think that would have been a good match. Sheamus' power and Dream's charisma. That would have been a real hot match. You know, every fantasy match can't be the star of the 80s versus star of the 90s or star of the 90s or star of 2000s. You know, you gotta mix it up. But at number 10, I got Dusty Rhodes versus Sheamus. Number 9 is a battle of the big men. It's Andre the Giant versus the Big Show. They're always compared to each other, and I think it would have been it wouldn't have been the most exciting match, but it would have just been cool to see both of the big men lock up and have a match and see how they would work together and how each one would do for the other one. Andre was the big man of his time, and Big Show is the big man of his time, so why wouldn't you put that on there? Number 8, only tag team match that I have on here. Two teams that never got to work together, but two of my top 10 favorite teams of all time would be the Road Warriors versus the Dudleys. Those matches would be hardcore. Could you imagine a TLC match between the Road Warriors and the Dudleys? And that would be straight destruction and havoc and blood and all that. It would be a killer match. Testify. Number 7 on my list is Owen Hart versus Jeff Hardy. I think that would have been a great match. Both men can move, acrobatic, fast, creative. I think that would have been a great one-on-one match. If Owen Hart wouldn't have passed, it probably would actually happen. But that's number 7 on my list. Number 6 on my list is the $1 Million Man Ted DiBiase versus Chris Jericho. Now, how cool of a match would that have been? Just could you imagine the promos that these two would have with each other? And then they both could actually wrestle. I mean, it would have been a killer match, Jericho and DiBiase. Both men know the ring, know the business. To me, it's just one of my fantasy matches that I would have loved to see. DiBiase and Jericho. Number 6. Number 5 is a match that a lot of people have on their fantasy list. Mine would have been Macho Man versus CM Punk. Both have similar styles. Macho Man could cut a better promo. A lot of times, if you watch CM Punk does the elbow off the top to dedicate to Randy Savage, I think that would have been a killer match for any company on any pay-per-view. Number 5 on my list is Macho Man versus CM Punk. I think that would be a very, very cool match because they're both creative. Both colorful and both will wrestle. Number 4 on my list, Mr. Perfect versus Randy Orton. Them two guys, that would just be awesome. Because they can both work. They both have really cool gimmicks. You'll probably have to put Perfect to face on this and not fucking make them both heels. It would still be an awesome match. I mean, Randy Orton's one of the most gifted guys I've ever seen, and Mr. Perfect's one of the most athletic, knowing the ring guys I've ever seen. So a Mr. Perfect Randy Orton match would just be killer. You know, I think either guy could work with anybody. When you have two guys that can work with anybody, then you put them together, it's just straight up magic. Number 3 on my list is Bret Hart versus Kurt Angle. Two wrestling machines. It sucks Bret Hart left the WWF when he did, because I think him and Kurt Angle could have did some things together. Could you imagine if the Patriot wasn't around and it was Kurt Angle instead of the Patriot versus Bret Hart? I think that would have been real cool. Both men have real wrestling backgrounds. Both men can work. Both men can go on the mic. Both men, I mean, could you imagine an Iron Man match between Bret Hart and Kurt Angle? How cool would that be? I mean, you could just watch it over and over and over again. But that's number 3 on my list. Number 2 on my list is a match that I think could still happen, but more likely it won't. And it's a match that everybody wants to see. It will be Sting versus Undertaker. Two of the most respected men in this business. That match would draw money. They would both work their ass off if they both respect each other. It would just be a killer match, and I'm just praying that one day we will get to see that at WrestleMania, Sting versus Undertaker. That would be it would just be the wrestling fans would be blessed if they had a match like that. Undertaker, Sting, number 2 on my list. Number 1 on my list is a match that I think should have happened a long time ago, but never did. And my number 1 fantasy match of all time would be Hollywood Hulk Hogan versus Stone Cold Steve Austin. We never got to see him go, but that match could have some killer storylines. It would be a killer match. It would draw money. You could do whatever you wanted to with them two guys, because no matter what they do, they're going to sell because they're fans. Hogan and Austin is my number 1 fantasy match of all time. I've said this on numerous occasions. If you watch my videos, I think it should have been Hogan and Austin instead of Hogan and The Rock at WrestleMania. It didn't turn out that way. We didn't get to see that, but anyhow, folks, that's my number 1 match. It's my number 1 fantasy match out of my top 10. I can run them back down to you again. 10 is Rhodes and Sheamus. Number 9 is Andre and Big Show. Number 8 is the Road Warriors and the Dudleys. Number 7 is Owen Hart and Jeff Hardy. Number 6 is $1 Million Man and Chris Jericho. Number 5 is Macho Man vs. CM Punk. Number 4 is Mr. Perfect vs. Randy Orton. Number 3 is Bret Hart vs. Kurt Angle. Number 2 is Sting and Taker. And number 1, like I just said, Austin and Hollywood Hulk Hogan. Now, moving right along, my other top 10 countdown is my favorite top 10 debuts of the WWE. Now, this was a hard one because I had to really go back and look, try to find some of the just all the debuts. And I went by not only who had a cool debut, but was it impact of a debut. And here are my top 10 debuts. Number 10, I have Mankind. As you remember, he's always been crazy, but the WWE put a mask on him and he would pull out hair. His feuds with The Undertaker were cool. When he debuted down in the basement with the rats, I thought that was perfect for Mick Foley. So, Mankind is number 10 on my list. Number 9 on my list is The Shield. I really liked when The Shield debuted. It wasn't that long ago, but if you remember, it was on Raw. Cena and Ryback were going at it. And they came out and put Ryback through the table. Ambrose, Rollins. The Shield is, they definitely surprised me. They're fun to watch. And they're number 9 on my debut list. Number 8 on my debut list is Goldust. If you remember him when he was in WCW, he was the plain old, the natural Dustin Rhodes. And what he did when he came to the WWE with the Goldust gimmick was just awesome. Just awesome. I was really, really impressed with what I saw. I don't think anybody could have got that character more over than Goldust. And that's why he's number 8 on my list. I can remember the first time I saw him and he took his wig off, I was like, you know what, that's Dustin Rhodes. But the Goldust gimmick was killer. He was kind of weird and bizarre. But at that time in the WWF, I think that's what they needed. Number 7 is Paul White Big Show. If you remember, he tore through the ring and chokeslammed The Undertaker on Monday Night Raw. That was pretty cool because he was in WCW, he was in NWO, and they really weren't doing nothing with him. And when he signed with WWE and then made his debut that quick, we tore up through the ring. That shit was cool, man. So Paul White, Big Show's number 7 on my list. Number 6 is Kane. They talked about the Kane character forever, and we never saw it. And then Undertaker and Shawn Michaels had their first Hell in a Cell match, and Kane debuted. He come down, beat up Undertaker, set up, killer feud for years. I really like Kane's look, his debut. He's still in the WWE as we speak, and I think Kane's debut was really cool. Number 5, when Eric Bischoff debuted in the WWE. I mean, that was just straight shocking to me, man. The way he tried to put the WWF out of business. And then he debuted on Monday Night Raw. If I remember correctly, Booker T was being interviewed by Jonathan Coachman, and Eric Bischoff walked up. And that really, really shocked the wrestling world, I believe. It's one of the most shocking debuts I've ever seen. I can't stand Eric Bischoff, but I guess I had to put him on some kind of list. Number 4 debut is when Sting returned to WCW with the Crow gimmick. I thought that was killer, man. The way he would stand up in the balcony and do the Crow gimmick and with the big crow or whatever kind of bird it was, and he'd come down on the string and beat everybody up. I mean, it was just awesome. That was the second becoming the Sting, because if you remember Sting from the beginning, he had the beach blonde flat top, and then he just come back as the Crow character, didn't talk much, whooped everybody's ass, went on about his business. So Sting's debut was number 4 on my list. Number 3 debut on my list is a moment that changed wrestling forever in the 90s. The NWO. I mean, I could sit here and talk all night about the start of the NWO and how great it was, but I mean, it was just evolutionary to the business. NWO debut was cool, you know. They didn't just have one debut each week; they had a new member, which would made it even cooler. Uh, Hogan, Hall, and Nash, then DiBiase, 1, 2, 3 Kid, 6 Pac, Virgil. The whole NWO movement was special. That's why it's in my top 3 because it changed wrestling forever in the '90s, and it made you want to tune in each week. Number 2 debut on my list is from 1990 Survivor Series, and it's The Undertaker. The $1 Million Man introduced The Undertaker. He destroyed everybody in the Survivor Series. He's been destroying everybody ever since. I remember his debut like yesterday, even though I was a kid. It was really cool because I remember him in WCW, but then he changed his whole gimmick when he came to WWF as an Undertaker. And I don't think I need to say no more. You know what the Undertaker's all about. His debut was powerful. Because if it wasn't powerful, he wouldn't still be going today. Undertaker's at number 2. And my number 1 debut of all time is Y2J Chris Jericho when he came into the WWE, F, whatever it's called. If you remember, for months and months, it was 1999. It was a countdown to the end of the millennium. Nobody knew who it was, and then one night on Raw, The Rock's doing the interview in the ring, and it starts to count down from 10. And then the fireworks go off, and out comes Chris Jericho. Him and Rock have words. It's the greatest debut I've ever seen in wrestling. You could tell the WWF wanted to put money behind Chris Jericho, and they knew he was a top star. That was one of my most favorite. That is my favorite debut of all time. It was powerful. Chris Jericho is so very talented, and WCW didn't want to do nothing with him, so the WWF figured, well, you know what? We're gonna bring Jericho in, and we're gonna bring him in with power. And his debut was straight powerful, and that's why he's number 1. His number 1 debut on my countdown. That's it for my debut countdowns. I can run them down for you again. 10 was Mankind, 9 was Shield, 8 was Goldust, 7 was Big Show, 6 was Kane, 5 was Eric Bischoff, 4 was the Crow version of Sting, 3 was the NWO, 2 was Undertaker, and 1 was Chris Jericho. Be sure to check out all my videos, man. This is Inside Wrestling Truth, and it speaks for itself. It's inside, it's wrestling, and everything I speak is the truth. I don't give away spoilers because I think it's punk shit. But if you ever want to know any information, just email me or inbox me on YouTube, and I'll be sure to read your questions off. I'm gonna do a question and answers in a few days. I got some shoot. I'm doing 2 shoot interviews this weekend. But I'm here for the wrestling fans, man, and I hope you like my channel. Because everything I do it for the fans. And I keep it real because I know there's a lot of fake dorks up on here representing wrestling. I don't know what they're talking about. But like I always say, get your money and pay your bills. Peace.